Well, hey guys, Sinister the Drone Network coming at you. And you can see what's on the box directly in front of me. This is the jumper. I borrowed this from my boss so I could fly the Tiny Hawk. I'm waiting for my FRSKY i6 to get here. So anyhow, let's get into the box real quick. I wanted to give a perspective from a noob. Sorry about the shadow there, guys. So, pull out the transmitter. Here we go. This is the Jumper T12 in the white color that it's offered. Let me just unhook this lanyard real quick. And again, this is going to be from a noob's perspective because I have a couple things I wanted to say for those that are newish to the hobby and looking at getting into something like this. So let me go ahead and put the dipole antenna on. Pardon my camera work here. Alright. Now, the transmitter, I gotta say, it does feel pretty good in the hands. The gimbals are a little bit looser than I'd like, but I have found out by looking around on the internet and forums, and you can actually take the controller apart, and there's some tension screws on the inside. You can tighten up these gimbals. But that's not what we're here to talk about today. I just wanted to share my personal experience with this transmitter. Now, we do have a bound to the Tiny Hawk. You have all the switches set up in beta flight, yada yada yada. Now, going forward, we had a hell of a time getting this thing to bind up to the FRSKY D8 receiver that's inside the Tiny Hawk. And I'm going to tell you why. So, when you first power on the transmitter, it's got, you can't really see it, focus. This has OpenTX. And when you get the jumper out of the box, you get this quick start guide is all you get with it. This basically tells you, how to put the batteries in, how to turn on the transmitter. And these are the instructions you get as far as putting up a model and all that other stuff. They're very, very vague. But what they don't tell you is all the little submenus and the little menus, the little rates you could set, the little frequencies you could set. Basically, when you're going through the menu as a first timer, per se, I fly the MJX bugs. Mine are simple to bind. Going to something like this, it's not cut and dry. Basically, if you follow the instructions in the Tiny Hawk manual, it tells you to hit the bind button on the board, which the bind button you can see is right there. It's on the board. You hold it in, the receiver light turns green, and then you're supposed to put the remote into a bind, and it's supposed to connect. Not the case. We never got any insurance that it did connect, even after we got it to connect. That green light I mentioned in the Tiny Hawk is supposed to go red. Then you unplug it, you think it's bound. Not the case. We actually had to go into a submenu. We come across some literature on this thing, and where you have to play with the frequency settings and sit there and find the medium between the negative and the positive. And just by doing that, we were able to get this thing to bind. But nowhere could we found blatantly posted on the internet that we had to do this. We had to do digging through several pages on the Google search. So, wasn't too thrilled about that. Now, what I originally was going to do is show you some stuff on here. So let me just get rid of this warning here. Okay. So when you go into the model here, hang on, this button here. Okay, you can name your model, that's all standard stuff, but you've got all these different options here. Which, you know, somebody who's played around in OpenTX may know what these are. But if you're just getting into this, you just want something you can plug in, do the simple bind procedure, set the switches in Betaflight, and take off. But you've got all these options on here. And nowhere on the internet can you really find out what all these options are. I'm sure if we would have dug a little bit deeper, we could have found it. But come on, guys. This is a jumper transmitter. A lot of people are going to buy these because they think multi-protocol, right? I can bind anything I want. I can bind to Hubsan, I can bind to MJX, I can bind FRSKY, I can bind to FlySky, Spectrum, you name it. Okay? But it's not always cut and dry like you think it is. So this was just kind of a warning. I mean, look at this stuff. Internal RF, external RF. I mean, I'm sure some of these hobbyists out here that have been flying drones for a lot longer than I have know what this stuff means. But I don't. See, FRSKY and D8 protocol, that's what we set up to. And when we bound it by going here to this, oh, hang on. We'll see, now I got into another menu here. You see what I'm getting at though, guys? I mean, it's... Here we go, start over. Let me just arrow back up. You hit this bind button, you think you're good to go. We played around with this auto bind feature, played around with this lower power, and it took us quite some time to get anywhere with this. And the only reason why we did get somewhere with it, because we found something on the internet on the 7th surf page where a guy was doing a video and showing you how to change the frequencies and everything else. Hey, that's great, but that information should be readily available and easy to find. So, you know, I was hell-bent on buying a jumper for myself, and it seemed like a good idea, but it would take me some time to learn how to master this transmitter. And I gotta be honest, I just want to plug something up, bind it, and just go flying. You know, I'll take my time in Betaflight setting my quad up, you know, doing the PIDs and whatnot, and the switches, and playing with the OSD. That's the fun stuff, because you get to customize everything. But this transmitter is just way too complicated, and you think that the company, Jumper, they give you a book on this thing so you learn what everything is. But no, it's a secret. So I probably will revisit the idea of a jumper later on down the road, but for now I'm just going to keep it simple and fly with a FlySky i6, and eventually maybe go with something like a Tyrannus QX7 or something like that. But again, this is a perspective from a noob. Some of you may not agree with me, but I just wanted to put this out there to anybody who's looking into getting more into the Acro and FPV scene. You know, if you've been flying toy quads or GPS birds or something like that, be prepared to do a lot of research to get this thing to work right. So I just wanted to put this out there so you guys can see. I mean, I love the transmitter, love the idea of the transmitter, but setting this thing up was a total nightmare. It took hours, guys, hours. And that's my boss is pretty sharp with this stuff. He wouldn't give up. He kept going at it. He thought maybe it was a low voltage issue, so he took 2 batteries from my vape mod and that were fully charged and put it in, and had the same thing, because he read somewhere that low voltage on a transmitter can not make it bind properly. So this is just a heads up, guys. I mean, nice transmitter, nice idea, but just a pain in the butt to set up. So beware. I'm not saying don't do it, but I just want everybody to be aware. So thanks for tuning in, guys. Ciao.